saw an industry response by actually reducing the amount of sugar in the products to circumvent the higher tax. So we can already see in a number of brands where the amount of sugar has been cut to meet the lower tier of the tax. And what does this mean? Does this mean that our industry adding more of the low-calorie sweeteners to their beverages to keep that sweet taste? I think this is a really interesting and important question that we're going to be following very carefully in the coming years. And then, in the U.S., we know that the added sugar label will hopefully come into effect in 2020 or in 2021. And so with that added sugar line, will industry be reformulating to sort of meet that pressure to not meet the percent DV for added sugar in their products? So I think that's another thing that we can watch carefully, and very well might end up increasing the amount of low-calorie sweeteners in the food supply. So just to sort of summarize, we've seen low-calorie sweetener use primarily from beverages has decreased in the U.S., but intake levels are still high. They're growing in some other countries around the world, and we might see an increase in low-calorie sweeteners in the food supply here and elsewhere, with policies being enacted to limit added sugar and sugar-sweetened beverages. Findings from short-term trials and cohort studies linking low-calorie sweetened beverages with cardiometabolic outcomes are discrepant, but overall trials support a neutral or beneficial effect of low-calorie beverages on body weight and cardiometabolic factors, especially during calorie restriction. Cohort studies are mixed. We see a number of them showing positive associations, but we know reverse causation is an issue, as well as residual confounding, and it might be of interest to start looking at higher intake levels to see if what we noted in our recent study or an analysis in mortality can be replicated elsewhere, if this is something that we're seeing in other places. There are potential biological mechanisms that may explain adverse associations, but these are not well understood, and I think this is a really active area of research. So overall, it seems that low-calorie sweetened beverages can indeed be consumed at moderate levels and can replace sugar-sweetened beverages to reduce chronic disease risk, as we showed in some of our substitution analyses in the cohorts. But healthier alternatives do exist, and I think the ultimate goal would be to get people from the sugar-sweetened beverages to water, but certainly that can be a challenge for many people, and the diet beverages could really help getting some people there. But little is known about the long-term effects of diet or low-calorie sweeteners, particularly in early life, and Michael Gorin touched on that yesterday, and I think this is another very interesting area that we're going to see more research coming out in coming months, coming years. And then lastly, further research exploring low-calorie sweeteners, certainly by type, is warranted, and also by vector. We've looked at a lot of studies look at it in the context of beverages, but it seems that there's also a number of artificial sweeteners in foods as well, and I think it'll be important to look at that and look at it separately, as well as different intake levels and across different populations. And so with that, I thank you. And just a reminder, we're not taking questions now, to hold questions until the very end.